tremendous looking trophy.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Platinum Explosion, the number one PlayStation podcast in the Oceanias. I'm Jono Peck, and I'm joined today by Jack Cruz.
Plat.
Nicholas Pryor.
Plat.
Thomas Marshall.
Wait, you're not Dylan?
No, I am not. I'm, as I said, Jono Peck. Dylan is away this week. He is working, I believe. He's putting in work at the job that he does during the day. And it's night, but he's working anyway. So Dylan has asked me to step up, and I'll do my best not to let him down. What do you guys think?
I have faith.
I mean,
Do you think he picked the right person?
I'm glad it's not
it's
me.
what we've got to work with, so there's no point getting upset about it.
That's right. It's too late.
It's debatable, but I wasn't going to do it.
Do you even know how to host a podcast?
No, this is my first time. haven't done any this week
Ball
at all.
dust.
So what have you guys been playing, PlayStation-wise?
Tonight...
Don't tell me about any Switch stuff.
No, tonight I was playing Battlefield 1. Yeah, pretty much that's all I've been playing recently, PlayStation-wise. Oh, and Friday the 13th. Been having a blast playing that on the stream.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of people have been enjoying that one.
Twitch.tv/Explosion Network.
Correct.
Jack?
I've gone back to Watch Dogs 2 recently and just been sort of dicking around in that, and I got back into it when Tom needed help with the trophy, and it was already in the PlayStation, so I just sort of kept going with it. I never finished it when I first started it. And I'm just having fun just doing side missions and dicking around and finding the little whatever you call the things that you get to upgrade your skills and money drops and stuff like that.
Sure.
So
Skill points.
yeah. And it's just fun sort of being in a city that I've been in before in a video game and not like a fake city. It's actual city and seeing things that I actually saw in real life. It's quite bizarre. So.
Yeah. So
That's how
much,
Jono felt playing Far Cry Primal.
What?
I don't what? Where's that game set?
In their Stone Age.
It's like the prehistoric one, isn't it?
Jono's old.
He's saying I'm old. I get it now. It's because I'm old, yeah. I'm like a whole 2 years older than Nick, I guess.
What was your question?
Nick's the one that looks like he would fit in the best with Far Cry Primal. So tell me a bit more about Watch Dogs 2. Like, I've platinumed it, but having been to San Francisco, what other things that... Is it just like you recognize the look of places, or is it specific landmarks you're like, oh, I know where this is and where I'm going?
Yeah, specifically, like it's actually like at the start of the game, you're sort of just flying blind. But now having a reference point of like opening up the big map, like the game map, and looking at it and be like, oh, okay, I know where that is, and like from remembering it from when I was opening up like my Uber app, being in San Francisco and knowing where sort of everything is, and just driving along, and then like I'm like fanging along in my sports car in Watch Dogs 2, and then slam on the brakes because I'm like, hey, I stayed in that hotel. Or, like, I'm pretty sure that's where that one burger place was. And, like, you know, going to Union Square and getting out and walking around. And it's quite a bizarre, sort of surreal sort of thing. Because you play... I don't think there's ever been a game where I've played, like, you know, you have the GTA games that are sort of based on real cities, but they're sort of the fictional version, so they're a light replica. But I've never been to any of those sort of, you know, cities.
Sure.
So it's quite bizarre playing... I've never played a video game before where it's actually the actual city is the city you're in, and it's actually like mapped out that way. So it's quite.
I wonder if
cool.
you three would get a kick out of going back and playing Driver San Francisco, because that's a more accurate.
Is that set out as well in the same?
Yeah, pretty
Is it
accurate
the
as far as I know.
Quite possibly.
Did you find the hotel between the two strip clubs, Jack?
I found the hotel we stayed in between the brothel and the strip club. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Tommy, what do you?
How did you find the? I was going to say, how did you find the brothel and the strip club, Jack?
I think they were closed by the time he was ready to go into them.
I didn't know that there was a brothel next door. And
there wasn't a brothel next door.
There was the one.
Be honest.
We were standing next to it, and the girls were trying to get us to come in while we were waiting for our taxi to the airport.
Is that what it was?
It was the
thought it was just a
she wasn't
topless
asking us
bar.
to come in for a cup of tea, Jono, I'll tell you that.
That was okay. Tom, what have you been
Hot coffee. Since I was last on Platinum Explosion, a hell of a lot probably, but I did get the platinum in Watch Dogs 2, which I started before San Francisco and
Plat.
finished afterwards. Plat. I got the platinum in Oceanhorn.
Gosh, you've
that
been
was
putting in work.
the.
Did you
I have
really? You
been
got the
putting in
platinum in
work.
Oceanhorn?
I did, yeah. I got that shortly after we got back from San Francisco.
How'd you find that?
And then, I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. I wouldn't play it again for the platinum on the PS4 anytime soon, but a good little Zelda-like kind of game. Playing a bunch of Diablo 3, Sly Cooper #1 on
He's looking at his
Vita.
trophies right now, I think. Is that what you're doing?
I'm looking at my my little list of notes that I made before here. Sly Cooper, Need for Speed Rivals, Life is Strange, 10 Second Ninja, just trying to find something that grabbed me. Life is Strange didn't particularly at that point in time, neither did 10 Second Ninja, so that's how I ended up on Sly, and then sort of pissing around with Diablo with various groups of friends.
You weren't a fan of Life is Strange?
I played the first episode, and I think I was just not in the mood for
Storytelling?
that style game. Yeah, the storytelling, the adventure game kind of aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's sufficiently intriguing that I'll remember what happens in episode 1 and go back again. But I sort of planned last Sunday to sit down and play through the whole thing.
The takeaway from this is Tom has no soul.
I'm yet to play. I have
No
Life
soul?
is Strange. I have Life is Strange downloaded on my PS4. I'm yet to play it. I'm planning on doing like a whole. Once I finish with Watch Dogs, I've got like a heap of those like short experience games that I want to play through. Like I want to play through Life is Strange, Virginia, Tales of the Borderlands. There's a couple
Guardians, will you get in?
What's the
Guardians
one
of
from?
the Galaxy?
Sorry.
Guardians of the Galaxy?
No, I won't play it through Guardians. But what's the one from
Batman.
the Chinese?
What Remains of Edith Finch?
The Chinese Room. What's the one they did?
Edith Finch from Giant Sparrow.
Yeah, I'll play Edith Finch, and I want to play Inside, and also Everyone's Gone to the Rapture. Begrudgingly, because they were talking smack on CD Projekt Red. But I sort of want to just power through a few just experiences. I had been in a bit of a rut over the past few months, just not having the motivation to sort of jump into anything and get started like I did. Horizon obviously was pretty cool, and after that I've sort of been reluctant to jump into anything new. And so jumping back into Watch Dogs is cool to just dick around in there and have a bit of fun, but I want to sort of maybe rejig my I wouldn't say my passion, because I wouldn't say I've lost the passion, but just my
Mojo.
Yeah, just sort of knock out a few games and sort of get that momentum going again. And Crash will be out this week, so I'll be getting into that as well.
That happens to the best of us. Like I'm kind of, like I said, just jumping around between those odd games till I found something that stuck. And at the moment, that's fucking Sly Cooper, which is a how many years old, 15-year-old game or something from PS2 that I'm really enjoying. So
yeah, I've been stuck in a rut of Persona 5, which is just a very, very long game, and I really want to finish it, but I don't have the time to play for several hours because I'm doing things like this and editing and, social stuff, so video games are tricky business sometimes.
That's
You
how
seem
I
to
feel.
still play a lot more than I have time for.
Yeah. No doubt that having a young lad to take care of will do that to you, but the train and the commutes I've done recently, I've been plugging away at Spectre Knight, which I'm enjoying, the Shovel Knight DLC. I'd recommend that if you're a fan of Shovel Knight. It's not as good as Shovel Knight, but it is still it's that world, and it's good fun.
Is it kind of disappointingly more of the same?
No, it's not
sort of
disappointingly.
how I feel about those.
It's not disappointingly
Okay.
more of the same, because I love Shovel Knight, I guess. I didn't platinum it like you, but it does make you think, wow, what can they do if they actually go away and build a new game? But I'm very grateful that they have gone and done this act of goodwill in providing free DLC to give Shovel Knight extra life, I guess.
Well, there's still another one to come. There's King Knight or whatever he's called.
Is there really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were doing 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Plague, Spectre, and King, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the levels are the same with some slight differences in terms of the platforming in the way that, because they add different mechanics for each character, but it's not like they have to rebuild levels from the ground up. So yeah, let's get into the news. I guess I've actually got a literal news item that I wanted to start with, just something that you guys don't know about yet. But apparently there was a dude who is on the run after breaking into a Melbourne home. Bit of local news here. He showered, cooked, and played video games inside the property.
He was there for like 4 hours, wasn't he?
Yeah, apparently he spent 5 hours inside there and used that time to shave, bathe, cook some noodles, and use a PlayStation. That's according to 9news.com.au. So I wanted to know what you guys thought in terms of what game was he probably playing.
I mean, I have to imagine it was COD or something like that. Like, he's not going to jump in and be like, I might start a Persona playthrough or something like that.
He sounds like a homeless guy, so I think it'd be something like Horizon, like in a world to escape to.
But if he's a homeless guy, he's probably not going to have too much context of what Horizon is, don't you think?
No, but it's still, but like he'd want to play something to escape the life on the streets that he's in at the moment.
Did you think he was like going through the collection, and then he's like, oh, what's this Horizon? Jump on IGN.com and check out a review or something like that before he popped it in?
I've heard that this is a utopian escapism world.
Yeah, that's what I'm all about.
I reckon,
Tell me what.
along the same lines of Jack, I reckon he would have jumped into a GTA 5 or something. Sounds like a bit of a basic dude.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I reckon if that happened to me, the chances are they'll probably fucking start Darksiders or something like that. That's on close to the end of my cross media bar, but I've not, or whatever they call it now.
Yeah.
But I've not actually started it. And then he'll go and earn like 2 bronze trophies for me.
And you can't get rid of it.
Really fucking. I can't get them myself, but I have to fucking play it again. And for I don't know however long until I can hit that. There's a little 2% and 2 bronze trophies going to be sitting on my profile. That's what worries me about somebody doing that in my house.
So did he not? So did he steal the PlayStation, or did he just?
No, he was just. Doesn't look like it. I think he just broke in and started hanging out as if it was his own house. What would be more of a violation if someone used your razor to shave, or you found out that they'd been on your PlayStation and earned a couple bronze trophies?
If I came home and I bronze Tom,
every trophy counts.
If I had come home and I found that someone had broken into my home and had spent the whole day there, and had not stolen anything, but just chilled out, played PlayStation, and shaved, I don't even think I would be mad. I was like, thank you for not stealing everything, and I guess
the whole $3 worth of power that they spent. Or something.
Like I'd probably throw the razor out and disinfect like my DualShock and that, but I don't think I would be upset. I think I'd be.
I mean, it does call him a thief. It says a thief is on the run, so he must have taken something. But
so he might have taken jewelry or something. Well, look, if he's left the PlayStation, then look, I'm probably going to be okay with it still. You know,
it would be one of the worst
family
things
heirlooms
to lose,
and jewelry and all
it?
that. No, yeah, I mean, I think I would be pissed.
It makes me think like having people in the spare room on Airbnb, like. One of the house rules is don't touch the PlayStation, but you can have the TV. One of the house rules is not don't use my razor. So
technically, they could use your razor.
Yeah.
You think it'd be
maybe
unwritten.
some Airbnb guest has shaved his pubes or something with my razor, and I don't know about it. And as long as he's not touched the PlayStation, I'm happy.
Yeah. Well, that's all that matters.
So let's get into some actual news.
Good story.
Or rumours, we're going to call this segment. The website, Australian website, Press Start, has a story up about JB Hi-Fi listing Fallout 4 VR online. It's been pulled down since, and there hasn't been any official comment on it. But Amazon Italy has also fueled speculation to the rumour with a listing for Fallout 4 on VR. Is this inevitable? We've just had Skyrim announced at E3, and Fallout 4 obviously was announced for for VR but not PSVR, and there's been some strain between the relationship between Bethesda and PlayStation with the mods, and some people are speculating whether or not it's going to end up on PSVR. But do you guys think that that's just inevitable at this point?
Yeah.
I think so. It seems ridiculous that they put it on other VR platforms and not PSVR out of some kind of
spite,
vendetta kind of thing, out of spite. When
they'd be losing money themselves.
You're doing 2 of your 3 games, and VR is a relatively small install base that you want to get it to as many people. It just seems strange that they haven't announced all 3 that are coming to VR are just coming to all VR platforms.
They would be pretty much, well, not literally, but they would be cutting their nose off to spite their face. I mean, just to sort of go, well, stuff you, Sony, you've, with all the mod stuff and all that. And Bethesda were pretty sort of forthright with the way that they handled that, and not sort of shying away and giving this, the pretty standard PR speak that we generally hear in the industry, but actually coming out and being like, everyone's like, why aren't we getting mods? And rather than them coming out and giving PR speak reasons, they're like, Sony wouldn't let us. Sorry, that's it. And then obviously they allowed it like a few weeks later. But I think they'd be silly to not put it on PSVR, because that's probably the VR system with the biggest install base, with the Vive and the Oculus and that. And they obviously take quite a lot to it's not just the unit that you need for the Vive and the Oculus, you need a high-end PC and the rest. So they'd be silly not to put it on PSVR. And I think it's probably... I don't know why they didn't announce it at the same time. Like, it's not like it would have taken, only 3 weeks since E3 or whatever it's been to put put it together to get it on VR. Like, they've probably known for a while that it's going to be on that. So it's bizarre that they didn't... Maybe that was their little jab at Sony. We're not going to say it at E3. We'll announce that later down the track. Who knows? But I think they'd be silly not to put it on there.
Nick, as a PSVR owner, is that the kind of experience you think that's missing from the console at this point?
Oh, yeah.
Some kind of open world experience?
Yeah, I think it can't hurt having it on there too, but it'd be interesting to see how people deal with playing, because they're games you spend a lot of time in, how they'll deal playing like 100-hour RPG in as well. Like, I could see myself playing it, but I think the general consumer, like, they don't have the time, or because you're pretty much doing that one thing the whole time, as opposed to like a controller in hand, you can put it down, talk to your spouse, check your phone, whatnot. Yeah, so... Yeah,
I mean... The criticism at this point for VR, and we'll get into it a bit more later, but it seems that people don't have a substantial game they can play and constantly use the unit. They're sitting it on the shelf between releases that interest them, and that could be, depending on how much you just love VR in and of itself, it could be several months at a time. So I think having a game that people can just continuously pick up whenever they feel like it would be really... a system seller, because there's no killer app.
I'd argue Resident Evil's pretty strongly up there.
Yeah, it is, but horror isn't for everyone, and even people that have played the horror games don't want to play it with VR because they aren't able to do it without freaking out.
It's horrifying.
At the same time, open world fantasy RPGs aren't for everyone as well, which is probably why there's the dystopian future and space shooting shit going on at the same time. But the thing that concerns me about those, from what I've seen, is the assumption that they're going to be full price. Like,
they are.
I would be much more likely to buy even like a half price, like a $60 patch on top of Doom, to give me VR in it, and not buy a separate full price thing. And you can fuck right off if you think I'm buying Skyrim again to play it with a stupid hat on. Like, that game's nearly 10 years old. You're trying to sell it back to me in HD version, and then you're trying to sell it back to me on the Switch, so I take it on the go. And now you're trying to sell it to me to wear in my ridiculous hat. Like, it's probably like original Skyrim in ridiculous hat as well, and that's going to be that's going to be awful. It's not like you'd think they would make a particular effort to say Skyrim HD in VR or something like that, or that it would be a patch to the Skyrim HD for VR support. But it's a completely separate thing.
From all accounts, people that have played it have said that it looks like PS3 Skyrim up close, which is not something that I would be interested in playing. And I've never played Skyrim myself, so I can't sort of speak to it. But I've watched people play it, and I've seen obviously lots of footage of it over the years.
Well,
it's not like it's a beautiful
argument to
game.
that is, in PSVR, things don't look that terrific anyway.
Yeah,
but that's going to make it even worse, isn't it? That's going to compound the fact that things are already.
Because I think it's already at like late PS3 quality graphics, like sharpness wise and whatnot. So I don't think it would look that bad in PSVR. It'd be equal to other experiences you've already had. Looks wise,
I just think it would be worse because you're compounding it. So like you've got brand new games that they're making that already don't look great in PSVR, and you're giving someone a nearly whatever it is 2011, so like 6-year-old game from PS3 that wasn't the most graphically beautiful game on PS3 already, and then putting it in PSVR, it's just going to compound it. It's going to make it look worse for mine. So
then again, that's just an assumption anyway. There's no hard news.
I'm just going for what people have said that have played it.
I was really excited for it until I found out that the movement system was a teleport kind of thing. Like, I understand why they do it for
Skyrim.
people. Yeah, Skyrim, Fallout, and Doom, they all have you look to where you want to go and press a button and you teleport over there.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's weird. That's like old school RPG.
It's to alleviate motion sickness. I mean, I can understand people...
It's like baby mode in VR.
Yeah, I can understand people getting... Like, the reason they've done it and people can't handle it. But for me personally, I want a full twin-stick movement type system. I mean, I don't know why. If they are or not, they can always add an option to add the twin-stick movement, but it doesn't seem like it from what I've read so far.
I've played... I haven't played any more Farpoint since I was on here, actually, so I've played 3 levels of that, and I did play 1 complete level with twin stick, and I didn't feel that bad. Like, as long as you are intentionally making smooth movements with your sticks, then you can actually get through it fine.
Yeah, well, Resident Evil
it's disappointing to hear.
Resident Evil and Riggs both have twin stick, and I handled it fine, and it was fine to play it that way.
What are you laughing about, Jack?
You can listen to it in when you listen back to this episode.
Okay. Actually, we'll have to listen back to it when some editing. Yeah, I mean, Bethesda Game Studios tweeted, "It's been fun bringing our style of games to VR. We plan on supporting as many platforms as we can," which is a pretty clear sign that it's their intention to bring it to PlayStation.
I wonder how they're going to
really
run.
touch on
Sorry, Tom.
legs.
Arms?
We didn't really touch on Fallout, but Fallout with VATS is probably a great combat system.
With VATS,
VR. Yeah, like I couldn't see it being fantastic as live, trying to jump away from death claws and all that sort of stuff.
I think the issue with that too is
with VATS, if you're powerful enough.
With Fallout 4, they moved away from being VATS reliant too. They made it more like a shooter.
I still play it a lot in VATS.
Oh yeah, it's still possible to play, but they didn't focus on it as heavily as opposed to 3 in Vegas.
Yeah, my brother didn't even realise VATS was a gameplay mechanic for quite a number of hours in Fallout.
Yeah. Fallout 4 was more or less my only Fallout that I've really played, and I didn't use VATS at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Surprising. There you go. Okay, so speaking of VR, we'll move on to the next topic. There was a seemingly a reluctance to back indie games as an industry at E3 from PlayStation. There was no indie games in the conference. There was a focus on VR, and there's even a quote here. I think it was Jim Ryan. Was that the name?
Ryan.
Yeah,
Yes.
Jimmy Ryan. He should not be allowed to do interviews.
I forget what his title is, but he's one of the executives there, and yeah, he probably
he's got
shouldn't
something
have
to
said
do with
this.
sales.
He's making
Yeah,
a name
go,
for himself
Jack.
at the moment for saying stupid shit in interviews.
And do you remember what it was he said?
About the indies or the other stupid shit he
Yeah.
said. Yeah,
About the indies.
He basically said he came out and he said that he was asked in an interview why weren't there any indies shown, and he basically says like, well, we've sold a heap of PS4s now, we don't need indies anymore, or we don't need to show indies anymore. We needed that in the first couple of years to bring people in, but we don't need it anymore because we've got the install base. It's pretty much like I'm summing it up. That's sort
Yeah,
of
I've
boiling it
got
down.
the quote here.
my-
You've more or less hit. He said it was just good to talk about in 2013, 2014. It is less relevant now. We have VR to talk about now, for example. And he's the head of Sony's global sales and marketing.
Yeah, epic facepalm.
It is, but like I read that and go, okay, I've read it, so I don't know the tone that he's saying that in. And less relevant, having read like all of the rest of the questions and answers that he gave, the fact that he said less relevant sounds just like poor phrasing of
Yeah.
the question. And that really what he means is Sony as a business. What he could have said was, we've got hundreds of indie titles on the platform and still coming. We love them, we support them, but our marketing efforts are going behind our new
AAA titles, yeah.
awesome, stupid helmet, PlayStation VR, that we want everybody to put on and have a great time in. Like it just seems poorly phrased, and it's a soundbite that people have just kind of latched on to, trying to claim that Sony are turning back into old Sony.
Yeah.
I don't know if they are or aren't, but that's kind of my read on it.
If it's just a soundbite, though, why wasn't there a presence of indies at the conference?
I can see where he's coming from. Maybe not less relevant is the correct term, but if you have a look at all the buzz and talk around E3, they're all going, oh, where's Microsoft's AAA exclusives? What's AAA exclusives of Sony got? Why aren't they coming out? There has not been much talk about indie in the main press at all. So I can see where he's coming from.
As far as the business statement, like I 100% agree with it, and he's 100% right. But to me, it reeked of a boardroom, like that sort of statement is a investor meeting, a boardroom discussion. It's not a E3 interview.
Marketing thing.
Yeah, that's something to be said at your quarterly investment meeting. Because it's like, okay, we're doing this, and this. We're focusing on this. It's not relevant for our business now to talk about this. It's irrelevant to. He's a salesman. He's not. Like, to me, he's not Shuhei Yoshida. He's not Andrew House. He's not Sean Layden. He's not Gio. He's like a business dude.
Sure.
He's not a gaming dude. So it's sort of, to me, it reeked of a statement that I actually like. I don't disagree with what he said, and he's probably right. But it's just from a public relations point of view, it was one of those sort of, I guess, whatever you want to call it,
real tone deaf moments.
Yeah, exactly
but
right.
Like there were a couple of indie games on VR
Exactly.
as
Yes,
well.
VR was the only inclusion of indie games.
Yeah, we're focusing on VR, this new platform of ours that's exceeded our sales expectations inside the first year and all these sorts of things. If they'd spent those 5 minutes talking about indie games, there'd be a million people being like, well, why the fuck didn't you talk about VR?
That's
'Cause I've just
exactly
bought
how I would have felt.
This helmet that costs just as much as the console.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the
Like,
conference
it's-
you're talking about, but on the show floor, apparently, if you've got this Gamer Sutra article that I sent out before,
Yeah.
it looks like from their investigations, there was only kind of one PS4 indie title on the floor, and it wasn't part of Sony's booth, and that's the only one that wasn't a PSVR interactive game. So it's interesting that PS4 has, a PlayStation has distanced itself from indies in such a quick amount of time, because it was pretty much essential part of their business model only 12 months ago.
Yeah.
Well, you also shared that article that had sort of 3 different developer interviews, each
That's
of them
the one I was
saying that
referring
they
to,
get
yeah.
fantastic, but that they get fantastic support from Sony the business.
Yeah, but they were perplexed that
Yes.
they weren't included in their booth and that there weren't more of them out there. So I guess compared to Microsoft, they were saying that there's a lot more infrastructure in place to support them and blah, blah, blah. But I guess the amount of funding they're putting behind it, the amount of publicity they're putting behind it is not what I guess they've been accustomed to in recent years. Maybe No Man's Sky was the last time Sony wanted to fully back an indie title the way that they did. That was maybe they put too many eggs in that basket. It was still a successful game. Tom will be the first.
We get that stuff out of PSX.
Yeah.
I'll argue No Man's Sky, but we do get we get indies at PSX.
Yeah,
and
I agree with that.
We get indies at all of the PAXs and at Gamescoms and
but we used to get
and
them
all
at
that
E3.
sort of stuff.
I just don't think E3 is the place to show indies anymore. When especially there's all these other little bit piecemeal expos everywhere else. There's the PAX and the RTX and everything like that.
No, you're spot on. And that's the thing, is that it's not, and this is the issue, is that what Jimmy said wasn't wrong. It was just, you don't want to alienate a large sect of your, and he very well, like a statement like that very well could, and Sony are in a position with their install base and that they kind of don't need to worry about stuff like that, but because, like we said earlier with the Bethesda VR thing, is that an indie developer would be silly to not approach Sony to say, put our game on your console, considering the install base. But they very well could alienate, developers who go, oh, well, there might be some out there, like your Phil Fishers and stuff like that, that are a bit too, they're very much involved in themselves, and they might go, well, stuff you, Sony, we're not going to put our game on your console. We'll release it on Steam and Xbox Live or whatever. So it's just one of those things. It was like you said, Tom, you hit the nail on the head. It was a tone deaf sort of statement that was not suited to that kind of interview, rather than, like he should have said, like what you said before, that we love our indies and we love our support of our indies, but we want to do this and this at this expo, and we're going to really support them here, there, and the other, rather than being like, they're not relevant, because you've got to remember they're the ones that helped you get to where you are. And someone said it the other day. I was listening to a podcast, and you got to dance with the one that brought you, so you can't sort of forget where you came from.
So judging from that article with the 3 developer interviews, they come across as Sony being the best people in the world to work with as well. Like,
they didn't have a bad thing to say about it.
Yeah, with Xbox, they said that they're not as good to deal with, but they're better forward-facing. But behind the scenes, they're a bit of a pain. So I don't think indies take it personally, because they see it as a business as well, where it makes sense for Sony to put all these AAA and all the things that put big money behind forward.
And when
it's not like they're not supporting them at all anymore, and they judge off their previous interactions with their own case managers and the support they've gotten.
Yeah.
So I've been trolling Wikipedia a little bit, and in 2013 there were 10 PlayStation 4 exclusive games. 2014, 17. In 2015 there are 23, 21, 23 announced for 2017. And then 15 in the future. So compared to the time when he's talking about that, yes, we need to push indies, there are nearly 2.5 times as many Sony first-party games that they have to advertise.
Yeah.
And they just have a whole load of their own stuff now flowering that they want to share.
Yeah, it makes sense. What do you think the future of indie games is for PlayStation? We had Next Machina come out this week, the Housemarque's latest game, and it seems like a smaller release. Like it's only kind of like a 5-hour experience. It looks a lot like Resogun in its art style, which interests me, but I can't think of many indie games having really taken off this year? Is there anything major I've forgotten?
Not off the
Not so
top
much
of my
this
head,
year.
but then I'm not a massive indie gamer either.
You know, Inside was sort of late last year. Well, no, you know, quarter 4
For
or
PlayStation,
3 or 4
yeah.
last year.
Midway
You know,
through.
so Inside was
What-
probably the last
It
really
only
big
came
one
out
that comes to
6
mind.
weeks before on Xbox.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came out on Xbox. Yeah, are you talking PlayStation exclusive indies, Jono? Or are you talking?
Yeah, I'm just trying to look at what indie games have been coming out. What we've like usually there's a few that move the needle and that people anticipate, but I can't really. There's been so many. It might be just that there's so many big, you know, AAA games that Sony's been putting out that there hasn't been a focus on it. But yeah, I guess what do you think the future is for indie on Sony? Is it going to remain the place for those titles?
I still think it would be the place to go for indies. I think the only thing I see giving it a challenge is Switch takes over, because Switch seems to be the place to play those indie types of games. It'll be interesting
Yeah.
to see their support.
Yeah, but Switch doesn't have trophies, so it can kind of go fuck itself.
Yeah, good point. Fuck Switch. Bring
I
that
mean,
Nintendo
there's
shit
like
in here,
only-
Nick.
Isn't there only like double the amount of Switches compared to PSVR units?
I don't know.
I
I'm not aware
don't
of
know
that
the
stat.
number.
It might be a bit more than that. I think 1 million VR units is worldwide, or
Yeah.
just over 1 million, and I think it's like two something million, or maybe nearly 3 in the US as opposed to worldwide Switches.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's interesting. I think
think-
the indies will continue to, you know, there's always games coming out every week. So it's not like the indie scene is dying. It's just whether the quality can sort of stack up and continue to be just that quality, because there's a lot of crap that comes out on the PlayStation Store every week. So I think you'll still get your Insides and your Life is Strangers and your Everybody's Gone to the Raptures and your Firewatches and that kind of thing. So, but whether they're fewer and far between, because like I can't think off the top of my head a big one like that's come out this year. I'm sure that someone's screaming at their iPod right now, or their iPhone, or their Zoom.
iPod.
I think the biggest one coming out is Tacoma, and that's an Xbox exclusive.
Yeah, Tacoma. Yeah, which
Xbox
is
launch exclusive.
Steve Gaynor.
No,
is
that is an exclusive.
For now, anyway.
I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that Steve Gaynor said it's coming to PlayStation 4 eventually.
Oh,
No,
it will be like
I
Gone
heard
Home.
good old Game Over Greggy was talking about it on the last Kind of Funny Games, whatever it's called now, and saying that Gaynor confirmed it's exclusive to Xbox, despite the weird wording in the Xbox conference reveal.
very
Strange.
interesting.
It is
But I
strange the
think-
way that they.
Sort of
Go
back to your question just before. Indies being with PS4 they're always going to be where the players are. I think that's when you're like a small business or a small developer, you're going to go for
Yeah,
the least effort to get the biggest return, sort of thing. So you're always going to go. Obviously, you want to hit everybody, but in the first instance, you're probably going to hit PC because there are more PC players and they spend more money. Then you're going to have to choose which console do you go to. And there's, I'd say a huge factor of that has to be what's the install base, and that I would assume sort of informs how much money Sony are potentially going to give you to port it over.
Yeah.
How much help they're going to give you, because they know that they're going to get the sales because they've got the users. And at the moment, Sony have got twice as many users.
That's right. They
Maybe
can kind
even
of
more
dictate
so.
the terms, can't they?
There's an interesting term in that article too that I think Sony has over everyone else is their steer and what is it? They don't interfere, but they steer and give feedback or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they're good with creative and that kind of thing, letting people sort of do their thing.
Very good. Okay, the next item on our list is Crash Bandicoot. It's the topic, the talking point of the week. Everyone's excited, except for NATO. But
Fuck you, NATO.
I have no intention
I agree with you,
to pick it
NATO.
up day one.
Yeah.
What did
Well,
you say, Tom? You have no
Tom-
intention to what?
Tom's got no intention, but others,
Yeah, I've
just
got
let
no
other people
intention
be
to pick it up
excited.
day one, but
I hate Crash, but I'll buy it day one.
really?
Yeah,
that
only
really
'cause
how you
Stacey
feel?
It
wants
doesn't
to
even
play
make
it.
sense. I was about to say, you are what's wrong with consumerism, Nick.
No.
So the Big W sale that we were all excited about last week has turned out, instead of it being available for $40, it was a misprint, and they're actually selling it for $50 like everyone else.
Ooh.
So that's a bit of a bummer for the Aussie listeners, but it's, I guess
I'm still gonna play that card. I'm still gonna play that card. I'm still gonna go.
Yeah.
I still don't know what a Big W is.
I'm still gonna try.
I'll have signs up. It'll be yeah. You try, Shaq.
Hey, so I noticed something interesting about Crash, actually, when I was sort of trawling the PSN profiles before coming here. The first Crash game has got a DLC trophy pack.
Yeah, I saw
There's
that
like
before.
3 trophies for it.
Bizarre.
There are 2. There's a gold and a silver. The silver is to seek and destroy, whatever that means.
Vague.
And the gold is do hard time. So, that's intriguing that's coming out before the game is even out. Then it's not necessarily paid DLC, but could be an interesting strategy if it's here's an easy run at the platinum trophy, plus we'll give you some extra hard bits too.
Very interesting.
It's a good sign that they've treated this game with a lot of care to actually add content, in the fact that there's already DLC, I think, even if it's just a bonus section of the game that doesn't come under those original 3 titles that are included.
So are they brand new pieces, do you know? Or are they just kind of like speed run
Don't know.
style?
We won't
Nothing's
know
been announced
till somebody tells us. Yeah. But we were talking a little bit about it this week in terms of how big this game's going to be, because some people think it's going to fizzle, NATO. And I think, Nick, you were along the same lines of people will just be happy it's coming out but not actually buy it. I think it will sell like gangbusters. What do you guys think about it?
I don't think it's going to... I mean, it'll probably be... because there's not really much else coming out. It'll probably be the top game selling for the month, but I think it'll sell fine. I don't think it's going to just absolutely destroy and be in the top 10 MPD at the end of the year or anything like that. I think it'll sell. People will buy it. Everyone will get their nostalgia kick. They'll play it for a weekend, and that'll be the end of it. People will sort of forget about it. I don't think it's going to break records or anything like that. I don't even know if it'll sell better than Ratchet and Clank did, but it'll be interesting to see.
I still haven't played that.
You should do that.
Put down Sly Cooper
I should.
and pick up Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah,
well, if I do that, I probably can't go back to Sly Cooper.
I'm along the same lines as Jack, that I think it's going to sell fine. I don't think it's going to sell amazingly like everyone, or the finger of the pulse people seem to think it's going to be. Like, I think people are going to go see it on the shelf and go, oh, I remember that. I had great fun playing that, and not actually buy it. Because
There's a lot of hyperbole around this game at the moment, isn't there?
I tell you what, I'm definitely not buying it for 80 New Zealand dollars, which is what it is on the store.
Shut the front door.
Like, I will gladly maybe put $40 aside for it or something like that, and pick it up down the line. But yeah, it's certainly not a day one for me.
The 3 platinums
I didn't really
doesn't
play them
intrigue
as
you?
a. Well, that's the only reason I pick it up, because I have no nostalgia for this game. I didn't really play it as a kid all that much. I'm going to be interested to see whether Scott down in Christchurch, my friend, does pick it up, because he had a PS1 and I believe played a bit of Crash. So
shout out to Scott.
Interesting if he wants to play that. Shout out to Scott, although I don't think he even knows that we record any podcasts. So
fuck you, Scott. Subscribe to our YouTube.
Unless he's secretly listening, in which case, hi, Scott.
Fuck you, Scott.
It'll be interesting to see if he's playing that this weekend instead of playing Diablo with me. So,
I think the fact that it is a $50 game and nostalgia is like one of the most powerful motivators for people to buy crap these days. I really do think it's going to sell well. I'm not saying it's going to, beat COD or anything like that, but I think that there's a real potential if it gets reviewed well. Like if it gets 8s and 9s, I think if it comes out that they've retooled the controls and the save system and it is genuinely a fun game, I think it will do really well. But I guess we'll see. Maybe this time next week we'll have some indication. It might be a little bit longer before the numbers come in.
I think too, once it goes off sale, people aren't going to touch it because when the full retail price is $70.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I think it's more expensive than Ratchet and Clank was when it came out.
Right.
But sure, it's 3 games and Ratchet is only 1. But my understanding of the Crash games is they're not that long anyway.
They're about 6 hours each, apparently.
Yeah, I was thinking you're not going to sit down and play 20 hours worth of running towards a camera down one fucking corridor, are you?
Certainly not.
Oh, naughty dog. Bless him. So,
how times have changed.
Yeah. And I think that, I mean, like I said, I think the marketing behind it's been pretty good. I think there's a lot of hype. You guys have mentioned the hyperbole and that. I just think that there's, I mean, maybe it will turn out to be all hype and no follow through, but I think that we'll see. It'll be interesting. The next item of news before, sorry,
I was going to say Tim from Kind of Funny made a good comment the other day. I think it was Tim that coming out on June the 30th, it's probably not going to be really on any NPD list because it's day one as sales is the last day of the month. So it's only going to have that hit for June, and then sort of this following week or two when it's going to get most of its sales is July. But they aren't going to compare to whatever we've got coming out in July. So we might not even see it feature on any of those top selling lists.
It's a good point, isn't it?
They'll still say how many.
Yeah, Sony will give an indication. If it sells well, they'll give an
Activision.
indication. Otherwise, they'll stay silent.
Yeah. So the last item of news that I've got prepared anyway is that apparently Detroit has been announced for next year. Detroit Becoming Human, that is. It wasn't revealed at E3 in the conference. It was more later in the week in interviews. I think that what's his name? Dave? Is it
David Cage?
Cage.
That's it. I was going to say Chaffee, but yeah, it's Cage. Good old Euro Cage. He's said it's going to come out next year. So, do you think that's going to happen? And what do you want from this game? Because I'm a really big Heavy Rain fan. I enjoyed Beyond Two Souls. It was a good experience, but I think Detroit could be that next step that we kind of wanted after Heavy Rain.
Yeah, I don't really have any expectations. I just know that it's going to be a good game, and I'm trusting David Cage to deliver an experience that I know I'm going to enjoy. Like, I've played every game of theirs all the way back from Omicron, and I've just adored every single one. So I have faith that it's going to be pretty good. I sincerely hope it does come out next year.
You were a pretty big Beyond Two Souls fan, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. I don't understand the hate around it, to be honest.
Everyone else? Jack?
I think that there's as much chance of Detroit coming out next year as there is of The Last of Us 3 coming out next year. I don't see that. I don't think we've seen. I think
it was revealed. Remember at E3 last year.
Yeah. I just don't think
with gameplay.
I think if it was, they would have given a date at the press conference. For whatever reason, Cage has come out and said that it's 2018. I'm sure they're aiming for that. I'm sure that inside the development studio, they know that that's not going to be the case. What we've seen is pretty sort of selective vertical slices of the game, and we know that these games are very complicated. Sort of, I can imagine that these are a very complicated game to put together on like a development scale. So as far as all the different options to choose, the different scenarios that can play out and all that, the different sort of ways to go about it, the polish of this game as well as the actors and stuff. I just don't see it coming out next year. I feel like if it was going to come out in 2018, or if they were even really aiming for that, they would have put a date on it.
So why do you think he said that?
Maybe he was just put on the spot. Maybe he was just sort of felt a little bit left out that all these other games are coming out next year, and they're like, "Hey, David, when's your game coming out that we've seen for 3 years in a row now?" And he's like, "Yeah, no, we'll be out 2018." I don't buy it.
We do have 18
it looks awesome.
months. We do have another 18 months before 2018 finishes. So you're saying you can't see it coming out in 18 months?
I don't believe. I could see it coming out. I don't believe that it will.
Okay.
Well, just for historical sake, in 99 and 2005 is a gap between their first two games. 05 and 010 between Fahrenheit and Heavy Rain, which is 5.
010.
Oh, yeah, 10.
Yeah,
10 to 13 is 3 years for between Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls, and if it's Detroit Become Human, that's 13 to 18. That's 5 years. So I can see it coming out next year.
Yeah, like Nick said, I have faith in David Cage. He seems like a good person,
and he knows what he's talking about.
He wouldn't lie.
Tom,
do you have any reference point to this developer?
Well, I'm just thinking they have spent time doing the ports as well to learn PS4, presumably, is what that is. Getting Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls onto the PS4 is so that they understand the system better. I would take issue to Jack suggesting that the studio doesn't think it can reach 2018, if that's what he's saying. If they've got their heads down and thinking that they're going to hit 2018, they've got to believe that that's what they're going to hit, and that's sort of what you do with as a dev team in general. You've got to imagine that you can meet these dates before something goes horribly wrong and you can't. As opposed to we'll tell them 2018, but there's no fucking way.
Yeah. What maybe, what, like I was just sort of thinking about it a little bit deeper. It could be they think they'll hit it. Sony might not. Maybe Sony doesn't have faith in it. That's why Sony were reluctant to put a date on the conference. The conference trailer.
I think Sony just took that approach in general, because think about how many of their major titles have been delayed in the last 12 months. Pretty much all of them. And I think they just said, you know what, as just a policy, we're not going to put any hard release dates on anything. Because did they actually put a date to any of their games?
They didn't, but they gave 28. Like they all had 2018 except for Detroit. Well, so that's why I'm looking at that going, okay, well, Sony's not confident it's going to be 2018. Otherwise, they would have put it on there like every other game that they had at the conference. Otherwise, they wouldn't have put 2018 on anything. Like, it just doesn't make sense for me that if they thought it was going to be 2018, they put it on there.
Gran Turismo Sport does have a date, and that was announced before the show, and that's for this year. There's something else announced for this year, and they did come Uncharted. Out after the show. Well, there's Uncharted. I think there's something else closer towards the end of the year.
Knack 2.
But they came out after the show. Knack 2. That's correct. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
Shout out to the Facebook group.
Yeah, totally. They came out after the show and said that everything that they said 2018 is scheduled for the first half of 2018.
Yeah,
that's true.
Which then gives them the opportunity to come back at E3 next year and surprise with a few pop dates of end of 2018 after a blockbuster start. So it seems like a pretty good strategy, and I am intrigued by the days gone theory. Do you guys know of that one?
I didn't.
What's that?
No.
So the theory that people are kind of running with at the moment is that Days Gone doesn't have a date because they're hopeful that they can sort of not stealth release it, but they're hopeful that they can hit 2017 as a release for it. But are not 100% sure. So they didn't put 2017 to avoid having to delay it, but would gladly come out at
PSX,
Tokyo Game Show, or probably not Tokyo Game Show. That's the wrong place, but PSX might be a bit late in the year. But come out somewhere and just be like, hey guys, in 2 months' time, you're getting Days Gone. You'll have it for Christmas before sort of Black Friday kind of thing.
It would be pretty epic if they announced it at PSX that it's out like today, because that is just before Christmas, isn't it?
Yeah, that would be.
I don't think they'd ever do that with a game that big.
No,
yeah, that would be pretty hard to silence
mistake.
the
Not only that, they wouldn't
retailers
be able to
and that
generate the media pre-release hype too. They generate sales.
Exactly right. Spot on.
Yeah, they need a couple of months lead in, but yeah. That's
pose a question
an interesting
to you.
theory that I'm liking to subscribe to that.
I'll pose the theory to you guys. Do you believe that the comment about the all those games releasing in the first half of 2018? Do you think that that's true? Are you guys confident that all those games will hit first half?
I didn't see the actual comment in context, so I don't want to say whether that person was,
I think it was Sean Layden
being funny or not. Yeah, but I don't know if he's referring
No, it was a legit.
to.
It was a legit comment,
Yeah.
statement. This is what's happening. Yeah.
If he's referring to like those major games, God of War, Spider-Man, whatever the 3 or 4 were that got most of the
Shadow.
airtime, then yeah, I think it's possible. Look at the start of this year, and it looks like Sony is kind of backloading the year with the major titles at the start of the year, and it was the same last year. Like I said it on when I was
that would be front loading.
Front loading. I did hesitate to say it, but thank you, Tom. That's why you're the Kiwi fact checker. They front load. They did the same thing last year, and there was pretty much nothing that came out after Uncharted, except for No Man's Sky, and that was on PC as well.
Tom, Nick, what do you guys think?
I think that's a solid strategy to front load with first party and then leave the third party to destroy the second half of the year, and then you're not competing with Call of Duties and Assassin's Creed
And Tomb Raiders.
That makes me happy to think that that's potentially their strategy.
Do you think it'll be reality? Do you think those games will all come out?
Well, I could see any of them slipping for any period of time. Like they might all hit sort of February, March, April, and that wouldn't surprise me. But also, if Spider-Man doesn't hit till 2019, it's also like not a surprise,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that their intention would definitely be to hit that time period, but whether it happens, it's it's kind of out of their hands in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Nick, what do you reckon?
It's very much out of our hands. Yeah,
I agree.
Out of their hands.
I think especially with God of War, that has probably been in development for. Well, when was Ascension? I think that was 2010, maybe, or 2011. I think it's been in development for that long. I think they'll be ready to hit the first quarter. But yeah, I'm the same as Tom. It's a smart business move to own the first half of the year, and with the second half, they have all the biggest third-party deals with FIFA, Call of Duty, and Star Wars and whatnot. So they're in the best place.
Destiny too.
Yeah, exactly. Destiny as well. I mean, they're not anywhere near in a bad spot.
Very good. Okay, I think now is time for hashtag Every Trophy Counts, where we look at some of the games that have come out this week, some of the trophies. I got you've got it in front of you, Tom, but I had a brief look this morning, and I saw that Volume VR has its own trophy list.
Oh.
They're all at 0%, so I imagine that it's completely separate from the Vita and PS4 version. There's
Who's played hands up? Who's played Volume?
hands up for audio podcast. My hand is up. Tom's hand is up, and Jack, you haven't played it.
I've played it. Yeah,
You played it.
I
You
played
didn't
about
put your
half
hand up.
hour.
fucking awesome game.
Yeah. It's
Fucking
great, yeah.
awesome
I
game.
played it twice because I missed a couple trophies, unfortunately. So,
Oh no,
but,
that's the worst.
Oh,
yeah.
what a
It's got-
chump.
It's got 10 bronze, 6 silver, 8 gold. So not a lot, but it does have a platinum. So
It's
that's what we're all about.
God,
Not
I hope
a
we get
lot.
a sequel to
That's-
that game.
that's like heavy gold loaded. I love it.
Yeah.
That's
And
they
it's
put
a
all
quick-
their
it's a
points
quick
into
platinum
golds
too.
there, and it is exactly the same trophy list as the PS4 and Vita ones.
Yeah,
I can.
I hope we get a
confirm.
sequel to that game. That game is fucking sick.
I think he's doing
Yeah,
something
I mean-
completely
Yeah, I
different.
don't think it
Does
would
anyone
be
know? Does anyone know how it's going to work in VR? Is it first person? Is it
No, it's third person.
like what is it? Right.
It'd be similar. You just sort
Yeah,
of
top
like
down,
the,
but you can get like you can move your head down into the level to get a different perspective and that kind of stuff.
That's cool.
Tom, do you think
Tell
you'll
you
pick
what,
it up?
I will have to see how much it costs. / no, I won't, because I'm pretty sure they announced that it was a free patch, didn't they?
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
I think you might be right. Yeah, which is
Yeah,
a novel
I'm-
idea
That's
in this
awesome.
world of full price
Yeah,
rehashes.
It is. Well, maybe in that case I will play it. I didn't I will admit I didn't absolutely love it, but I wasn't following the story.
You should. The story was awesome.
I
good.
probably should have, and maybe I will if I play it in VR, and if it's free, then fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very Metal Gear inspired, so
It's
that could
it's
be why you
basically
couldn't appreciate it.
yeah, it's basically Metal Gear crossed with Robin Hood.
That's potentially why it didn't strike me as
I'll
it
fucking
struck some
strike
of
you
you
if
guys.
You will be struck.
Yeah, I'll strike you.
See, here is my question. People
Yes.
talk about the whole fuck Konami and blah 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 blah, and then the other day, all of the Metal Gear games are on sale. This is fantastic. Maybe I'll go buy them for my Vita and stuff like that.
Who said that?
Pick a. Tim actually suggested that everybody go out and buy Metal Gear and all this sort of stuff because they were on special.
It's
and
because
it's like,
he's not a baby.
You have to.
I'm
Well,
not.
you have to be on one side, and if you're on the side that is fuck Konami, or if you've ever said that, then you can't go out and buy Metal Gear games and give them money.
I
Tom,
think
I'm
they're
gonna
going
let
out
you
to
in on a
buy.
little in-
This is an issue that I've been stewing on for a little while. Can you tell?
Tom, I'm going to let you in on a little
Nick,
bit of insight. I do whatever the fuck I want, and you best remember that. No, I'm not that whole sort of thing. I don't think I'm on either side. Like, I feel bad for what happened to Kojima, and I'm sort of like, I'm not happy with what the story sort of coming out of Konami and what they sort of did. But at the same time, if they
You're
release,
still happy to give them your money.
yeah, if they release like Metal Gear Solid, like, I will not be buying that fucking abomination looking zombie ripoff. That to me sort of reeks of just like a, that's like a fuck you to Kojima, that game.
I can't wait for it to come out that it was his idea.
Yeah, I've read an article saying
they
that it was
release
his
it and he
idea.
just appears on the stage. He's like, Metal Gear Survive is actually Death Stranding, and it's out today. But if they release like a HD, in the Fox engine, remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 or something like that, or
Dreaming,
like
mate.
1, 2, 3, they're like, we've remastered them from the ground up or whatever. I'd
How
fucking
much
buy
for
that.
a pair of jousting sticks?
Tell him he's dreaming.
Tell him he's dreaming.
Tell him he's no, but I'm giving you
you're
like a
dreaming,
hypothetical.
mate.
Like, yes, I would give Konami my money if they did something worth me giving them my money for.
My dream game is the original NES Metal Gear as a modern day game in that engine. I think that would be epic because we'd get to hear that story fleshed out.
Fuck yeah.
That would be sweet. That's something I've always wanted, but I don't know if it will ever happen. I think there's a good chance. I think the Konami are going to look around and go, we can really make some money out of the Metal Gear franchise by just rehashing stuff that came out before PlayStation 1.
Well,
I think it's a no-brainer, but,
Yeah, I think it's...
Also, Metal Gear 4, Solid 4 is stuck on PS3. You
Yeah,
can't
it's a shame,
get that
isn't it?
anywhere else. It's not current console available, so
Yeah,
it's not a shame because I've never played it, but I know that that's an issue for some people.
yeah, because the first
the
time
thing
that
about
came out, it didn't have trophy support.
Yeah.
Anyway, Nick, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I think it's not so much as giving Konami your money, it's more supporting the art that Kojima created. Especially if it's the only way you can do it.
Yeah, I think Kojima would be happy for anyone to buy a game that he
Yeah.
made. It's kind of like
I
the
don't think he
musicians
wants...
who...
Yeah, he doesn't want people not to experience his work just because Konami owns the IP to it.
It's like the musicians who say, if you can't afford my album, just download it because they just want it to get out there,
Yeah,
Or
like
like
Taylor Swift.
The the Hotline Miami guy that's like, Australia has banned my game, just download it, pirate it.
Yeah.
Just pirate it, please. Play it. Well, but that sort of engenders goodwill, doesn't it?
Yeah,
then?
definitely.
If he's saying everybody should just go play my stuff, then more people will fall in love with him, and more people will buy Death Stranding.
They've been on the goodwill train.
I'm
haven't
sick
they,
of hearing
Devolver?
of, but
He's a good
I
dude.
will buy.
Yeah.
So
That'll
I've got
be my
another.
first Kojima game.
I'm glad that we got onto Kojima from talking about VR volume.
Yeah.
But
Volumes trophies.
yeah. So the other game on the trophy list I wanted to talk about was Chess Ultra. You ready for this?
Did you?
No.
Yeah.
I couldn't possibly
26
be ready for this.
26 bronze, 7
I
silver,
didn't even look at this.
5 gold, and 1 platinum. And it is PSVR compatible. There's 5%.
For fuck's
5%
sake.
of people have the platinum already, and it's only $20 or just under $20 in Australia. So, if you like chess, some of our listeners might. Many people in this world play chess, and it could be, could be a good little trophy earner for you. It actually looks pretty cool from the screenshots.
It might not be too hard as well. A gold trophy, beat the computer on Grandmaster difficulty.
Not hard.
Grandmaster.
2% of... yeah. It's got 2% of people who've got the trophies already. Like 2% of real people and 20% of people on PSN profiles. So
Yeah, that must have been the figure I was looking at when I said 5% for the plat.
it is. That's the PSN profiles, but still, it's not even out, and there's not even 100 people got it, and people have already got the platinum trophy. So
I think it came out recently, didn't it? 20th, 21st or something?
oh yeah, maybe it did.
Yeah.
But the issue with the trophy guide here is you've got to understand what pinning a piece against your opponent's king means.
Yeah.
Or or what advancing a pawn to the 8th rank means.
I'm sure you could find that out. There'd be chess tutorials
Form
on YouTube.
and en passant capture.
Keep going.
I don't
yeah,
think
I am
we
trying
need
to
to
find
do
good-
that. I don't think
don't
we
wanna-
need to. I think we lost all of our listeners about 35 seconds ago.
Chess is a popular game. It's one of the oldest
I
games
love chess.
in existence.
Chess is great, but I don't think we need to go through the trophy list for the fucking chess game on PS4. Come on, guys.
Maneuver a pair of rooks onto your opponent's 2nd rank.
I'll maneuver my rooks onto your 2nd rank if you're not careful.
Okay, let's wrap it up there.
I would welcome that.
Jack, where
The
can people
rooks
find you?
and wrapping it up.
You can find me on Twitter at Cruzy_mate and YouTube CruzyMate.
Nick.
You can find me on Twitter at Lord Empire, PRIOR, and don't be afraid to reach out and contact us. We love interaction from our listeners.
And when are you streaming
Always
next, Nick?
at Nick.
I'm streaming on Wednesday afternoon from 12 p.m. to about 3 p.m. over at twitch.tv/Explosion Network.
Very good. Go check out Nick's stream. I'm sure that you'll have a lot of fun.
I'll be
with
playing
Nick.
Elite Dangerous.
An Elite Dangerous. Tommy, where can people find you
You
apart
can-
from Wellington?
In Wellington. Also, anywhere and everywhere, Tom DeBomb 89. TOMDABOM 89. I look forward
Except
to
Snapchat.
talking to you.
Very
Except
good.
Snapchat.
Except
I
for
still need to
Snapchat.
sort that out. And I don't do anything with the Instagram, but I do have it.
Yes, you can tag Tom on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter and anywhere else probably at Jono himself. You can check out my other podcast, Putting in Work, for some interviews with some really cool people. And my book, The Spy and the Maven, is out now. Check it out if you want to read a fun story that is also inspired by Metal Gear Solid. Just like Mike Bithel's volume. Until next week, do we have any sign-offs? Do we just say plat plat?
Plat, plat!
Plat, plat.
Wow, that's a tremendous looking trophy.